Welcome to the Coffee Talk Podcast. This is intended for informational purposes only and not to be used as a primary basis for investment decisions. Consult your financial professional before making investment decisions. Shannon Ross is a registered representative and MBA of Lighthouse Financial. Lighthouse Financial offers securities and advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisories Incorporated, member FINRA and SIPC. Shannon is CEO and managing financial partner of Lighthouse Financial. Cambridge and Lighthouse Financial are not affiliated. And now, here's your host, Shannon Ross.
Welcome back, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Coffee Talk Day.
Happy Thursday's your favorite day of the weekday.
Yep. I hope it's becoming your favorite day of the week, too.
It's getting up there for me. It's mine. I like Thursdays and Fridays.
It's so close to the weekend. Like, you can taste it.
Well, Thursday after work is when I feel like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
like
no doubt.
We're really getting closer to
Yeah, because Fridays are always fun. I don't know why, and actually there are studies out there that show everyone's endorphins on Friday are higher because everyone's happier on Fridays.
Yeah.
So
we're the weekend.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, this is a new hat you're introducing for us today. Boston Red Sox.
Love Boston. Only been there once.
Mm-hmm.
Went in 2017. Went to the home opener at Fenway Park.
Yep.
It's also why I have
I
my
love
Fenway. Yes. It was the year that Tom Brady came out to throw the first pitch.
Oh,
okay. So
fun.
and then like Gronk and who else was that came out as well? That man walked out of that big green, what do they call it, the green monster or whatever, and you would have thought it was. I've never
God
seen,
himself had come down from the heavenlies.
God himself had just descended into Fenway Park and parked his tail on the pitcher's mound. It was. I shouldn't say that about God. No, he doesn't have a tail. But that's not the point. But it was.
Yeah.
I've never seen, and I've been to a lot of sporting events with some. They go whack. They don't anymore.
Sure.
But they go crazy for that man. But it was so cool. Love Boston. If we have any listeners in Boston, your city is so stinking cool.
It is fun.
I loved Boston. I loved walking around Boston. We did shopping. We did all the sightseeing stuff. I wasn't with you.
I know.
Because you haven't ever gone with me. But it was a really cool town.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot.
love Boston. Mm-hmm. Justin, because he was a baseball player and came up through the Angels Farm League, he played summer baseball in Cape Cod and made an all-star game and got to play at Fenway.
Boy, that's a rough place to play.
I know.
I wanted to go. We wanted to try to get out to Cape Cod and drive, but the traffic.
Oh, I don't know how people.
I didn't know.
I know.
I didn't know till we saw the traffic. I'm like, well, no, we're going to skip that.
Yes. And I like your sweater. I called it an old lady sweater right before we started shooting.
Coffee Talk World, she really looked at me and she's like, cute sweater. I'm like, thank you so much. She's like, I love old lady sweaters.
I do. Well, I have a couple cardigan. I think it's the crochet.
It's a sweater, not
but I have a cardigan that's an old lady sweater that I wear every day that is so old and raggedy, but I wear it every day. And there's so many holes in it that I'm afraid that it won't last very much longer.
What are you talking about?
Well, I only wear it
you don't wear it
early in the morning or before bed,
okay.
Or when I haven't brushed my teeth all day and I'm not doing anything. Like when you're lazy, it's my lazy old lady sweater.
You just told the Coffee Talk World that there's a whole day that you don't brush your teeth.
Well, maybe not a whole day. Oh, whatever. You're like the worst offender at that.
I brush my teeth. What are you talking about? I floss.
I always ask
mouthwash.
You're
relaxing.
Off
the rails.
When I know you're not doing anything, I'm like, have you at least brushed your teeth?
And I'm like, yes, I did, Mom. I brushed my teeth. Even if I didn't take a shower yet, I brushed my teeth. But I think
all right.
I like my old lady
It's very
sweater.
cute.
It's very comfortable,
it's very
too.
Cute.
It's soft.
How's your week going so far?
It's good. It's been busy, which is not a bad thing. It makes it go by fast.
Yep.
How about yours?
Good. It's been good. Celebrating birthdays, lots of, Halloween was last week, and it's been it's been one thing after another.
Yeah. Do you like Halloween?
Well, we don't really do up Halloween. We give out candy.
Oh, candy and stuff for sure. I'm not anti-Halloween at all.
Costumes,
Well, my son gets amped for Halloween. I don't know. My we never, not anything against Halloween. It was all super fun. We watched scary movies or whatever, but it's never been my son was like, can we get a big, scary blow up thing and put it in the front yard? No, we're not.
Yeah, we don't decorate or anything like that. And I don't watch scary movies anymore because I ruined years of my childhood with scary movies.
I don't like them either. He loves them.
I can't take it.
I can't do it. But he loves scary movies. So he got all into Halloween. Yeah. He was super excited about it.
And he always picks great costumes. I feel like
he has money costumes.
Yes.
Well, his mother.
Well, one year you all were inflatable dinosaurs, which is really funny.
Yeah, last year he was the green Teletubby.
Oh, that's right.
That one was an epic costume.
Fun.
It was massive. Yeah.
Well, just dressing up is fun. I like any excuse to dress up.
We should do an adult fun
should.
party.
We have a whole year now to plan.
Yeah.
So,
all right, what are we talking about today?
Okay, we are continuing on today of our 7-year end strategies. It's on the financial side. So, like I said last week, don't turn down the volume. Don't skip this one because it impacts all of us, all of you.
Kelly and Ryan, don't fall asleep.
So some tips for everyone regarding what are some critical things that you should do, almost like housekeeping before the end of the year.
Yeah.
And so last week we had talked about the increasing taxes that are coming. What are some tax strategies that we should all be mindful of between now and the end of the year to take advantage of the Trump tax plan that is going to sunset sometime. It will definitely sunset December 31st, 2025, if not before. But given all the spending for the American Recovery Plan and for the various programs out there, and we talked about a lot about child tax credits last show, that taxes will rise, especially with the government spending that they've been doing and proposing. And so we just want to take advantage as much as we can to save as much on taxes while we can.
I have a question, and I don't know that you'll have this answer, but I'm curious. What could occur that would take what's a great way to say this? That would override the Trump tax plan and institute a different plan before 2025? What could
Congress just has to pass it.
But they haven't done that yet.
No, but the Biden administration. So one of the things all new administrations do within the first couple years of their presidency is typically change the tax plan to either higher or lower, depending on which side of the fence you're typically on, but to make taxes, either the programs increase for a certain threshold, or taxes decrease. But, where we are starting to see things we've never seen before, just with our national debt, just with what the government spent through the COVID pandemic to inflate the market, to kind of help ride out these huge waves that the pandemic created, that they're not going to have a choice. It doesn't really, I don't think it'll matter Republican or Democrat. We're going to see higher taxes regardless of whoever continues to stay in office or who gets into office. So there's some things that we need to do as Americans that are independent of where the tax code's going to go. Yeah. And so there's some things we can do now just to take advantage of some lower tax rates that are in effect right this second, because I think we're going to see a lot of ways in the next 5, 10, 20 years that especially our generations who are adults now will have to become more disciplined, to live a little bit more below your means, to have a little bit more buffer, to have those emergency saving plans, because you're going to see certain government programs come down where they're not going to have a choice. You're not going to have a choice. Okay. So we probably will see right now taxes are the lowest they've been in 40 years. I think, in maybe 5-10 years, we'll probably maybe even see the highest tax rate this country has ever seen.
Oh, joy.
So let's prepare everybody, Give
us the wisdom. Give us the nuggets, Shannon.
So it's an interesting climate that we're all facing, because it's not just taxes that potentially are increased, but we're seeing inflation go off the rails. And this is impacting right now every single person that orders groceries or gets gas at the pump or, buys anything. You're going to spend quite a bit more.
Yes, you are.
So, we might have to get a little thrifty.
Yeah, I'm all about thrifting.
As we approach 2022 and beyond. So today's show, we're going to not talk about taxes so much, although they'll play in a little bit because it impacts everything, but we're going to talk about retirement accounts at any age. So I don't care if you're listening to the show and you're in your 20s, or you're listening to this show and you're in your 50s or 60s or even 70s. This is going to impact everyone that has a retirement account, that wants a retirement account, that should have one. So I gave a little nugget last show. Is one of my largest retirement accounts that I have. I started when I was 22, when I entered the workforce, and I don't even remember why I did it.
I bet I can guess why.
I'm sure my dad gave me the pressure at first, but I started.
You were independent at a very young age.
And that's a good point. I've never wanted to depend on anybody. So any program that allows me to become self-sufficient as much as I can, you're right.
Yeah, that's why.
So that's probably why. But I'm glad I did, because the key of, for those 20-year-olds that are listening to this show, the earlier you can start, any amount, even smaller than you would think will matter, because you have time on your side. You have a 30, 40 year horizon for it to, to continue. So as we talk today, we're going to be talking about maxing out retirement accounts and converting retirement accounts.
Can I ask you a question that I feel like some people, and I would assume that maybe you've come across this at Lighthouse, or when you meet with somebody from a consultation perspective before you really dive into things, how often do you hear somebody say, you know what, Shannon, I'm never going to retire. I don't want to retire. I want to. What do you say to that? Because I hear people say that, and I think to myself, but that doesn't mean that you still shouldn't have a retirement account, even if you don't want to go live on a beach someday. So how do you answer that?
Well, I answer it is because I just like to put as many options for people as possible, because you never know if you're going to get sick, or if you're not able to work, or if you have to take care of a spouse that gets sick, or a child that gets, you just never know. So to have as many options on the table as possible, to be able to withstand some of the life, unpleasantries that come our way that we don't expect. And that happens to all of us. That's why, we call it retirement, but it could be different things for different people. And also retirement means different things for different people. My husband and I kind of joke about this, that he wants to retire like as soon as possible. And I want to retire like maybe when I'm like 85.
We're so different.
Because I like working and I can't see myself not working. But some people, like my dad, he worked super hard for 35, 40 years, and he golfs every day. And I'm like, how can you golf every day and not get completely bored? And he's like, he thinks I'm speaking Chinese. He
sounds like my husband.
My
loves
husband's
not retired, but still likes to play every day.
It's his glory days of life.
Yeah.
And so retirement looks different for all of us. And some people work part-time, or people won't work at all, or they want to.
That's what my mom does.
Yes.
Her and my dad retired, and my mom, they both worked at the same businesses for, between 45 and 50 years. And then even when she retired, she's like, yeah, but I think I'm going to go back and work 3 days a week. I'm like, you're retired.
Yeah.
But for her, it's like, I've always worked. I like to work. It gives me meaning and purpose.
That's right.
In addition to that, it just still was nice to have that income for her to still have that just extra coming in addition to what they've already saved.
Well, and I know a lot of spouses, they're like, I can't be at home all day with my spouse, like all day, every day. We might kill each other. So they need to get out of the house a little bit. And so regardless, but options do help.
Yeah.
And, it's about having financial freedom. So your mom works right now part-time, but she doesn't have to.
No.
So she can actually enjoy it more because there's no pressure to it. And so, when we think about, and we had a great conversation earlier this week about financial freedom, it looks different for all of us, but we all want less stress when it comes to our money. And I know people, and a lot of people out there that have no money or have a lot of money, they have stress regardless. So money doesn't solve it. Those who are struggling paycheck to paycheck, I understand. I've been in that phase, and I was stressed about it at that phase, maybe in a different way. But I've also worked with clients at my practice, Lighthouse Financial, or even as my own financial situation has gotten better, the stress hasn't alleviated, because now you have more to manage. Now there's bigger decisions. Now there's consequences that if you make a mistake, you see that dollar amount that you lost, and that's not easy to stomach. Right. And so, it's
the stress of the focus shifts, but the stress remains.
It does remain. And so there's things on this show that we're going to talk about, practical tips in these year-end strategies, but I also want to be disciplined to bring it back to, regardless of your financial position, how can you use this strategy to give yourself more options? And that's why I talk about things that are not so fun, like living below your means, like not trying to save a little bit more every paycheck, to living in maybe a little bit, make little sacrifices here and there so that you do have more options. So it can lead to a little less stress when life happens. And so, as we talk about today, there's a couple different tips. And again, we're going to focus on retirement accounts. Like, what are retirement accounts? You hear you hear really more so about three main ones than any other. 401k. 401k, you all know, if you are a 9 to 5 employee, you receive a paycheck every week. A lot of companies out there have a company-sponsored 401k plan. And so if for my 20-somethings out there, start your 401k plan as early as possible, because you won't even remember, you won't notice it. It's taken out of your paycheck.
Yep. You won't even see
because it's pre-tax dollars. You really don't even feel a huge impact on what you take home. But try to at least put as much of your 401k into your account a year that your company will match.
Well, I was about to say, if your company is matching it, now you really have you need
a lot of companies will match up to 6% of your salary. Now, you have to be able to live below, having to save that 6%. Yeah. You're not spending every single dime that comes into your paycheck. But because it's at pre-tax rate, it really doesn't feel like a full 6% because you're not also paying taxes, like you do on your take-home pay. So tip number one around 401ks, maximize them as much as you can. When you're younger, that's harder. This is probably one of the main areas of discipline in the last year that I have taken on as a challenge to myself. So 401ks, you can max them out at $19,500 a year. Close to 20 grand. That takes a little bit more discipline to put that, because, you're taking home 20,000 less in your paycheck to max out your 401k. But think about how much that can start moving the needle to give you some options longer term. Because those 401ks are invested in the market and you're making interest every year over year. It's called compounded interest. So that 20 every year then becomes 40, then can become 70, then becomes 120, then becomes 280, and you quickly tick that clock up in a way that can really matter. And you take a look at it. Every once in a while, you make sure your financial advisor takes a look at the accounts that you're investing your 401k in. There's usually a menu of 10 options. They don't try to overwhelm people. It's basically how aggressive do you want to be? The younger you are, the more aggressive you can afford to be. But like I said, as we started the show, that account I started in my 20s is the largest retirement account I have, not because I was putting 20 grand in as a 20-year-old, but because it's been in there for 25 years so far. It's been able to participate in a lot of this market growth, and I don't need it. So again, from a stress perspective, I've been able to, that's the account I'm most aggressive in still, because I don't need it tomorrow.
Right.
I'm not going to retire until I'm 85. I can put it in for another, 40 plus years. So, 401ks make a big deal. The other version of a 401k that I really, really, really like, that again, I've only started this myself this year, is I started a 401k at Lighthouse Financial for our employees. I made sure when I started the plan for my company, I included an option of a Roth 401k. Now, why does a Roth 401k matter? Roth is a word that I want you all to study and know, because Roth, think of it as a tax-free account, at least how the laws exist now, at least, for the several past decades. When you put funds into a Roth account, the downside, you're going to pay taxes on that now. So you're putting post-tax dollars into it, which it doesn't grow quite as fast because it's harder to contribute to it, because the government's not helping you, right? Because you're having to pay tax first, and then it goes into your Roth account. But here's the deal. Over time, over the long haul, you are creating a golden egg for yourself that no one else has access to. So when you have money in a Roth, it now grows tax-free. So it can be in the stock market for 30 years, and those gains right now are tax-free.
Wow.
It also, the government does not force you to take required minimum distributions, which matters on all other kind of retirement accounts. The government wants their tax money. If you don't pay them taxes until later, they make it a little bit more painful for you to do that, because they've like, you've taken 30 years and held on to those funds. Now we're gonna get ours. But with Roths, those rules don't matter. Once you put it into a Roth, so where I have maximized my 401k is in my Roth account. not in a traditional 401k, but in a Roth 401k.
Okay.
Because I want to take advantage of at least what's under my influence now. I want an account that just is mine. Because if any 401k or any traditional IRA out there, what you have to realize is that is a joint account. It's between you and the government. That is a joint account with the two of you. And the government can change rules. The government can change tax code, tax rates. So a lot of people out there that are getting ready to retire, they're taking a look and they're seeing these great amounts, right? They've had 30 years of appreciation in their 401ks or in a traditional IRA, but now they have to pay taxes. And if taxes are going up, which we all think they are, they thought like, oh, okay, when they were a 30-year-old putting money away, they're like, oh, well, surely taxes will be lower. That's all the way down there. Right. I'll be in a lower tax rate. So I'm going to save the tax now and just kick the can down the road.
Yeah.
But because of where we are today in our global economy, taxes are not going to be lower. And so you have a lot of retirees right now looking at and like, okay, shoot, well, now I thought I was going to pay like 15%. Well, now it looks like I'm going to at least pay 25%. If the new tax plan goes into effect, there might be retirees that have to pay 30, 40% tax. That's going to almost cut in half what they have access to of take-home income. Mm-hmm. And so it matters. So at least as much as you can do now, then do it now. Focus on the Roth.
Why wouldn't everybody do a Roth 401k?
Well, not all companies offer it. Okay. So the Roth 401k is not at every company. So you have to do some digging. If you work for an employer right now that offers a 401k, you have to ask. And not all companies really even understood what a Roth 401k was.
Okay.
We have a book on our website that's dedicated to this Roth strategy because there's a lot of things you can do to take advantage actually of different tax codes where you can, if your company does have a Roth 401k, you could probably put up to possibly $48,000 a year in a Roth, which is crazy. $58,000 in a Roth growing tax-free. Right. Now, you have to have a lot of discipline. You have to have a CPA's help. It's not just something you can easily. It's not that hard, but you have to know what you're doing to execute it well. But it's important to at least ask. When it comes to a Roth, just at least ask your CPA, ask your company HR director who administers your plan, so that you know. So again, that is the 401k world. And if you're over 50. You can put 19.5, but then you can also use a catch-up of an extra $6,500 a year. So the government allows you to put an additional $6,500 in if you're 50 plus. Why? Okay. Because they know you're trying to play catch-up. Most people out there do not start saving for retirement until their 50s. And then they're like, uh-oh. It like dawns on them that they might want to take a step back or might not want to work full-time for the rest of their lives. So that there's these catch-ups that have been allotted. So that's the 401k world.
Okay.
Let's go to the last one before we close today's show, and that is the IRA. IRAs are what anybody could participate in under the sound of my voice. Mm-hmm. So you can work at a company that doesn't offer anything. It's not about your company. It's about what the government allows you to do as a taxpayer. In a traditional IRA, every single person listening to my voice can put $6,000 a year. And these amounts change every year, so you want to, pay attention to what they are. This year it's $6,000. You can put $6,000 a year into a traditional IRA. A traditional IRA, you are kicking the can on the taxes. So it's pre-tax dollars. Okay. So it helps, similar
to a 401k. You're just putting off the inevitable.
Right. You're putting off the inevitable. Mm-hmm. You're getting the tax break now, but you will have to pay tax later. Mm-hmm. So traditional. Now, there's also a Roth version of an IRA. This is a little trickier. And again, I think these programs become a little trickier because the government wants a joint account with you far more. They're
really good at complicating
you to lock
things.
them out, right? I know. And so with traditional IRAs, we can all do that. If we're over 50, we can make an additional $1,000 a year contribution. So it could be up to $7,000 in a traditional. In a Roth, the government has put some restraints on who can contribute to a Roth IRA, and it's based on your income level. So if you make over a certain amount, right now it's if you make over $208,000 as a joint filing, so a couple filing jointly, or $140,000 a year as a single, you cannot just directly contribute into a Roth IRA.
Really?
But humans.
Wait, back.
We get a little crafty.
You're saying if you make over 208.
If you make over 208 as a couple or 140 as a single, you can't do a Roth. Because the government wants a joint account with you. The more that they can share in your retirement accounts, they know the more share. I know. Well, people don't even realize that they are
well, nobody thinks of it that way.
No one thinks of it that way, but it's absolutely.
But with the Roth, you've already paid the taxes.
That's right.
And they would rather.
That's right. And what's funny is there's some people out there. So Peter Thiel, who is the founder of PayPal, he has figured out, and I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, how in the world did he do this? And I'm not quite sure. My guess is he would have had a 401k, a Roth 401k at PayPal that was invested in PayPal stock is the only thing I can think of. So that stock appreciation, he has $5 billion in his Roth account. $5 billion. So if more and more Americans figure out these loopholes, I can't imagine what the government will try to do to the Roth accounts.
How was he able to do it, considering the threshold amounts?
Well, again, that's what I was thinking. So because I don't have but I was kind of thinking like, what in the world? Because $5 billion is an insane amount of money. But if you put say $58,000 a year into it and you only invested in PayPal stock, imagine what PayPal stock has done as it became public, as it became, PayPal is now, huge. Mm-hmm. And with the whole crypto thing that they're doing, like I can see the appreciation, I think, is how he got to the $5 billion.
Okay.
It's not on the initial funds. It's what the initial funds did. He probably has, $1 million% return on his funds.
$5
but
billion, and the government won't ever. I mean, as it stands now, they can't touch that.
They can't touch it.
He
has a $5 billion tax-free account ready to go.
I invent PayPal? Like I'm always thinking of that $1 million idea. What hasn't been invented yet?
I know.
That seems to be the best way.
I was talking about DoorDash today with my husband. I'm like, look at DoorDash.
Genius.
Like they weren't even in business really 18 months ago. So,
and they are booming.
You got to think about it, y'all. Well, our goat yoga farm, but I don't think that has the potential.
I think
of
that's
$1 billion
just for fun.
business.
That's just for fun.
But as we round out this show, so the whole Roth concept is an important one to tackle. We'll tackle it again next week as we dive in, because we didn't get to how to convert. We got to how to max our accounts. So we know how to max 401ks at 19.5. If you're over 50, you can add an additional $6,500 to that number. If you are maxing out your IRAs, it's $6,000 in a traditional that all of us can do, and then we can add another $1,000 to it to make it $7,000 if you're over 50. Next week, we'll spend some more time on this conversion idea of how to get money from a traditional to a Roth.
Okay.
Because there's a little craftiness, the human.
Okay. But you can move it. You can convert it from one to the other.
Something that we'll talk about next week is a backdoor Roth. Backdoor is what literally it's called, a backdoor Roth. And also for our clients who can convert, who are over 59.5, how to convert from a traditional IRA into a Roth IRA to continue to build their tax-free side of the equation as they get closer to retirement. So see, it's interesting. You got to have your thinking cap on.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have to come, with your Wheaties, but eat your Wheaties.
There it is again. There's another Shannonism.
There's another 1980s reference that no one else knows because y'all were babies or not even born.
Well, at least it wasn't a Yiddish word that none of us knew.
That's right.
If you don't know about the Yiddish word, tune in to 2 episodes ago?
2 episodes ago.
Yes.
So.
Your chutzpah.
Well, chutzpah.
Well, thank you, everybody. Follow us.
Subscribe on our Instagram channel, on our YouTube channel, our Instagram page, not channel.
You saw me make
Facebook,
the face, didn't you? I'm like,
the
it's
Facebook,
not subscribe, it's follow.
All of the social media platforms. We're on them. Search Copy Talk Podcast or copytalkpodcast.com.
Yes.
So we'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone.
This is intended for informational purposes only and not to be used as a primary basis for investment decisions. Consult your financial professional before making investment decisions. Shannon Ross is a registered representative and MBA of Lighthouse Financial. Lighthouse Financial offers securities and advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisories Incorporated, member FINRA and SIPC. Shannon is CEO and managing financial partner of Lighthouse Financial. Cambridge and Lighthouse Financial are not affiliated.